Dang, we could.
I said R6. First at the max.
Okay.
1,039
We are. Quiet. Okay, we're checking the purple. As always, your practice test score does not count as long as you score high enough on the actual test. So I need to get a sign posted that will show you the goal. But if you hit the goal for test 4, then I go back and I add bonus points to your practice test scores to make it so that you are not penalized for low practice test scores. Now if you score low on a practice test, but you don't use that to help you score better on the real test, you don't get the bonus. The whole point is to get better and better practice test after practice test. Questions? Okay, cool. So we're doing the purple today. So really, hey, my vote would be grade yourself as strict as possible so that you remember to do little things that could cost you points. Because as long as you do well on the real test, it won't be any sort of penalty. Questions? Okay, number 1. Here's how it would have been graded. They would be looking for 3 total points. The green point is for the correct limits. There are 2 integrals. They have different limits. You don't ever get a half a point. You either get the point or you don't. So, if you have the correct limit on both integrals, that's 1 point. If you wrote the letter A here, someone in first period put an A, but nowhere on their paper did they tell the grader what A is equal to. Therefore, they lost that point. No half points. It's yes or no. Question.
Wait, so if you put the number, you don't have to say.
If you put the number, then you're okay. So what Kenshin is saying, 3 points for asking Kenshin, is this integral, if he had written instead of 0 to A, he wrote 0 to 0.902, that would definitely be fine. Please, Matt.
Do we have to write out like f of x equals tangent of x, g of x equals 2, or can we just point to them on the graph? Like if we label the graph, is that count enough?
You can't just point. You have to use the equal sign to declare that one thing is equal to another.
Okay.
Otherwise, they won't give you the red point.
Okay.
Good question. Please. 3 points for Matt.
Like in the integral, instead of writing f of x like dx, you write just the actual equation for that.
Yeah, so if you write this, kind of combining what Kenshin said, if you go 0 to 0.902, and then you say, let's see, tangent of x, 3 points for Luke, dx, plus integral from 0.902, 1.260, parenthesis, everybody look up. The red point is lost if you didn't put that parenthesis right there. Because the next thing I have to write is 2 minus x cubed. And 2 minus x cubed must all be multiplied by dx. So this up here on the top of the board would give you full credit as long as you didn't forget something small like these parentheses right here. If you forget these 2 parentheses, instead of getting 3 out of 3, you'd only get 2 out of 3. Those parentheses are essential. It's actually why I prefer this method, because this method requires fewer parentheses. Both would work. Is that your question, Luke?
Yeah.
3 points for Luke. Please.
Instead of writing f of x equals the equation, could you just like point to it on the graph?
You can't just point.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to use the equal sign. 3 points for Annie. some notes. We'll wait just a second. We're good. Anybody need more time? Okay, next one. Number 2. Okay, number 2 is worth 2 points. 1 point for correctly identifying how you found the acceleration. So it's important to tell the grader how you are finding the acceleration. So you need this piece right here. So the grader knows how you found the value. That's 1 point.
So does it not have to be right C times 2?
It's kind of like 80% there. So they might give you the point, they might not. Probably would give you the point. I think it's better. Does that answer your question, Chloe?
Yes.
The reason I think it's better is that it shows exactly what you typed in your calculator. You put that in your calculator to find this. 3 points for Clella for asking. Anybody else? Then you get 1 more point if you have found the velocity, and you also have the correct reason. Again, you don't get partial points, so you must have all of the red or you don't get it. Again, you should grade yourself as harshly as possible so that you are learning to improve in preparation for the real test this coming Tuesday. So. There you go. Just waiting for a few people taking notes. Oh, please, forward.
Do you need to clarify that V of 2 is -2.728? Or could you just say that it is less than 2?
I don't think they'll give you the red point unless you actually have the value of the velocity to show that you had good evidence of the velocity being negative. 3 points for asking. Please.
So what if I put like -3 sine 2?
So tell me exactly what you wrote, Colton.
Velocity of 2
So you wrote V of 2 equals
-3 sine 2.
like that, and then you had your explanation.
Yeah.
I don't like it because I think it's a little vague, but I think they'd give it to you. 3 points for Colt for asking. I showed this to a couple of people that seemed to help, so I'll tell you as well. Everybody, no one talk, everybody look at me. Everyone look at me. Okay, here's a different way to remember how to answer a question like this. Just say it together as a class. All you're going to say is the word left or right. If my velocity is negative, which way am I moving? Left or right? Left. So I'm moving like this. Okay, watch me. We're pretending it's an ideal world. No forces act on me, so I just keep moving to the left. If a force starts to act on me, that will change my velocity. That means I will have an acceleration. Okay, so the acceleration is proportional to a force, physics. If the force is in this direction, would you call that a positive or negative force? Say it. Positive. So I have negative velocity, I'm moving to the left. If there's a positive force acting on me, that means my acceleration is positive. Would you expect me to slow or speed up? Say it. Slow. Slow. I'm moving to the left, force is opposing me, I'm going to slow down. That's all this is telling you. Velocity is negative, you're moving to the left. Acceleration is positive, the force is in the opposite direction, so you slow. That's another way to remember this. Question? Next one. That's all you need. 3 points. Make sure you have the absolute value bars, otherwise you will lose both the red point and the blue point. Question.
If I got the answer wrong, but I did everything else right.
Please.
Do you not add 1 because it's the total distance traveled and that's where it starts at?
Oh, because it's.
So the way you calculate total, like, answer this, I think I can answer your question better. If you're in a car, you can calculate the total distance traveled just by looking at the odometer. You don't have to know anything about where you are. Doesn't, the location has nothing to do with total distance traveled. Few points for Jason. What did you have on your paper, Jason?
I had 1 plus that.
So tell me exactly what.
1 plus the integral from 0 to 3, the absolute value of dt times dt.
Gotcha. And so you got 5 point whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'd give you 2 out of 3. Please.
You want to do the 1 plus when it's talking about like the position graph?
I'm trying to, 3 points for Tanner. Hey, I got everybody look at me, look. Okay. Rule of life. If you can think of, if you understand a situation, your ability to remember the ideas increases, I swear, 100-fold. So I'm trying to give you a way to answer what you two are asking. So watch me close, don't talk at all. I'm starting here at location 5. Keep track on your hands. I'm going to move to the right 10. Sorry, left, sorry, this way. Move to the left 10 and back 2. Please raise your hand if you know how far my total distance traveled. Hands up. I started at 5, I went 10 and back 2. What's my total distance traveled, Lewis?
12.
How many agree? 2 points, 3 for Lewis. Look at me, look. Raise your hand. To calculate the total distance traveled, did you need to use the fact that I started at location 5? Raise your hand. He just said my total distance traveled was 12. Several of you agree, most everyone agreed. To calculate the 12, did I need to include the fact that my starting location was location 5? Let's go, Jake in the back.
No.
He says no. How many agree? 2 points, 3 for Jake. So I don't need to know my starting position to know how far I traveled. That's why there's no 1 in this problem. I don't need to know that. However, I started at location 5, I went 10 to the right, 2 back. Who can tell me my current position? Hands up. Where am I located on my path? What's my location? More hands. I started at 5, you can do it, come on. I went 10 to the right, 10 to the left, back 2. Where am I now standing? At what location? I think most of you, not quite. Let's go.
Well, sorry. You go 10. So you're at 5, 10 back.
I'm saying, let's start over. So I was at location 5. I went to the left 10.
Yeah.
Then I went to the right 2.
Yeah.
Where am I now standing? At what location on this path?
-3.
He says -3. Who's voting with CJ? 2 points, 3 for CJ. Raise your hand. To calculate my current position, did I have to include my starting position of 5? Hands up. To calculate my current position, Abby in the back, did I have to include my starting position?
Yes.
She says yes. How many agree? 2 points. So that's the difference. If you're finding total distance traveled, where you began is irrelevant. But if you're finding where you ended up, your final position where you started is highly relevant. So I don't know if that helped at all. Okay, next one. So this is finding your position, and sure enough, we have got to include in our computation, we must account for where the object was at time 0. So this one is 3 more points. Once again, you get 3 points for the right limits. 1 point for knowing that you're supposed to integrate just velocity, not absolute value of velocity. 1 point for the correct decimal result, correct to 3 decimals.
Is it okay if you just put x of 3 equals 1 plus and then room it around and then the answer?
Yeah, so if you wrote this, I believe this is what Lewis is talking about. So you would have had on your paper,
Oh no.
is that roughly what you had?
No, we have.
Yeah, but then just take out the,
Stuff in the middle?
yeah.
So it's always fun to use the white marker, so we'll use the white markers and we'll, like that, yeah?
Yeah.
That would be 3 points. 3 points for Lewis Frost. Anybody else? Please.
If I didn't equal it, if I didn't say x of 3 equals that, would that lose me a point?
So you wrote, it's like we just keep erasing things. Is that what you had?
Yeah.
In this problem, they'll give you full credit. But in some future problems, you would lose points because it can be confusing. You're not telling the grader what you're finding. Does that make sense? So a better habit is to tell them what you're finding. 3 points for Annie for asking. Oh, please.
Why is it not T of 3 and it's X of 3?
T of 3?
Yeah, why is it not T of 3?
So, good question. That's a big one. Let me get you to answer some things so it'll stick. What would this symbol represent?
Time.
Good. What is the number inside the symbol representing?
The X value?
Yeah, this right there. What's that representing?
The X value,
The X, but what's X representing then?
the position along the X plane? on the-
No. This is time.
Oh, okay.
I feel like I'm not helping. I don't know what I'm doing here.
No, yeah, I got it.
Am I done?
Yep.
Okay.
Perfect.
This, so you know, hey, if you write that, you just wrote the time when the time is 3. That didn't really make any sense. Please.
Can you just say like, can you say VT is, or could you say like NT equals position N prime of T is VT? Just like write that at the beginning.
Yeah, that's okay. So you wrote N of T is equal to the position. Then you wrote N prime of T is equal to V of T.
Yeah.
And then you use those two symbols.
And then I said N of 0 equals 1.
That's cool.
I can just keep it. Yeah.
That's great.
cool.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, good?
So I did that, but with X of T, but I guess that's not necessary because X is always position.
Outstanding question. 4 points for that. You can safely assume that if you use X, they'll know you mean position.
Same with B
And A, yeah. Good question. Okay, next one. Microphone's still working, Brooklyn, so we're in good shape. Now you're on the video. Okay, well, your name is on the video. 10 years ago, you can look it back up. 3 points for number 5. Must have the green, must have the red, must have the blue.
Sir.
Again, you get the point or you don't. So if you don't have all of the red, you don't get the red point. We want to talk about that one, please.
So the red's candidates chart, right? Or some of it's, yeah.
So 2 things here in the red. The candidates chart and the formula that you're using to create the candidates chart. They're both required to get the red point.
So you know how on the, on the homework, how you didn't have to show the candidates chart? Like in the answers, it just said like, here are the zeros. And you didn't have to like, because like if you do the candidates chart, you have to go back and like subtract off the x of 0. If you like, I'm just saying like, isn't there like a way to write less stuff if you just say like, here are the x's instead of doing a candidates chart?
There really is no way to write less stuff and still get 3 points. You can do something different. Like if you want, you can write out more integrals, but that's writing more, not less. You'd have to talk to me after class. I'm not sure what you're referring to. But just talk to me, we can look at it.
Yeah.
So I can replace the candidates chart with 2 full integrals if I want. I'll get this box to move. That would be a valid replacement for the red. But I know of no way to write less than what you've written. Cloila.
For the green box, you can write it in a different format, like just the same, but then you can see it was 2.507 on the next line.
Yeah, that's fine. 3 points for Chloe. 3 for CJ for asking. Anybody else?
Wait.
This is how the test will be graded. You will not grade your own test, so.
Okay, so does it matter if we write the whole integral equals thing right there with the values or the variables? Because I wrote it as x of a equals 1 plus
Tell me exactly what you wrote, Maddox. I'll write it out.
x of a.
Hold on. And you had said that A was equal to what?
A was equal to t equals 2.507.
Like this?
Yeah.
So then you wrote x of A.
Yeah.
Keep going.
T equals 1 plus integral from 0 to a of v of t times dt equals negative 2.265.
Did you do anything more than that?
No.
Okay, good question. 3 points for asking. Hey, take 4, actually 5. That's a really good question. 6. Look, I gotta have eyes over here. Everybody looking at me. Look, test 4 is written. It's 80% of your grade, and you can lose points fast. Like it just takes little things, and suddenly you're just bleeding points. Okay, so really pay attention to how this is going to be graded. We're looking for the red point. Okay, this right here will properly substitute for this. And this. So that's okay. But the reason the 1 point that Maddox won't get the red point is he's not including this. So he would need another integral to replace that. That's why I was saying to CJ, this to me is still the shortest way to write it. Like I could include another integral over here. I could say x of 3 is going to equal 1 plus the integral from 0 to 3 v of t dt, and that's equal to negative 1.197. Now I don't need to have a candidates chart. But to me, this is more writing than the candidates chart. So I just do the candidates chart. But it's up to you. Either one is fine. That's yours. Very cool.
Yeah, but also if I have the answer, I still don't get the point, right? If I put 3 equals
You're doing great. Do you have the green box?
Yes.
So that's 1 point. Do you have the correct answer?
Yes.
So you get 2 out of 3.
Okay.
Yeah, you still get the red.
Okay.
The red is this part here, Maddox. You're not quite justifying to the level they want.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
But I didn't have it
Please.
for all of
I'm just kind of confused on why you would need the green box, because what we see that in your candidate chart is like when 0, like, I don't know, you need to say like when.
Yeah, let me see if I can give you an answer that will make you feel better. Hey, look. Let me look at me. On the written section, pick up, Mariah. On the written section, you must indicate where things are coming from. Now, in some cases, like Clella said, they accept that A means acceleration. You don't need to explain anything. But they want to know where you got this number. So you can't just use it. You must tell them where it came from. It came from the fact that at time equal 2.507, the velocity is 0. That's why they require the green. Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
3 for Annie. Anybody else? Oh, please.
In the green box, do you have to write like just in between your 2 circles at time equals 0 and?
This one here is probably a forgivable mistake. If you look at the graph of V, at time equals 0, the velocity is absolutely equal to 0. So that's why I included it in the green. But if you forget that one, they'll probably forget that. 3 more. Please, Brooklyn.
What does this justify your answer? I'm just a little confused on like over every problem. I feel like it's kind of different for all the things you need to include. So like when do I need to write both the time and that time plugged into the like position to show where?
Oh, gotcha. I think so. I'm going to give it a shot. If I don't answer it well, you just ask again, okay? 3 for Brooklyn. You are correct in that when they say justify or give a reason, it's going to vary depending on the question. So So all I can do is keep practicing with you and getting you in the habit of knowing what you're supposed to write. Your second question is different. You said, when am I supposed to write the time when the particle is most left? And when am I supposed to indicate what the position is at that time? Because sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Is that what you meant?
Says time.
Yeah, that one just, the question will tell you.
Okay.
Is that better?
Yeah.
So that part's straightforward, and then you just check the question carefully, make sure you're answering what they asked. How much to write, we just have to keep practicing.
Okay.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Oh, please.
Just ask your time. It's just too difficult.
It is not.
I'm not quite right.
3 points. Okay, number
Not quite.
6.
But I will be.
6 is another min-max problem. It's also worth 3 points. Another min-max problem also worth 3. Similar, you got 1 point for the green, 1 point for the red, 1 point for the blue.
Shameless.
Oh, please. Follow up.
For GMT equals gallons per oil, do you have to say gallons? I said volume of heating oil at
Perfect, just as good. Probably better. Yeah, really. 3 points for Clella. All you're trying to do, Clella, is clearly communicate to the grader that you are talking about the amount of oil in the tank, not the rate. Just waiting, some people are taking notes, so I'm just watching your pencil. So what does the Atticus refer to?
Oh, it's a short brand.
Oh, bread. I was like, I was going all like, To Kill a Mockingbird and stuff. Atticus. The main character's name is Atticus Finch.
That's like a 5.
Please.
You do have to have the GT equals G,
Integral.
Yeah.
Hey. So to get the red point, Lewis, it's what I was saying to Annie. To get the red point, I've got to have all of this data, but I must also show where the data came from. So the formula is required to indicate to the grader where the data came from. Otherwise, I lose that red point. Your alternative, Lewis, would be to write 3 separate integrals, and that could be a replacement for all of that red stuff. 3 for asking. Please, Annie.
And you can choose any, like I did A of T and A prime of T, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, the symbols don't really matter. I've kind of morphed over the years from using different symbols to just always using A. So this was typed up a bit ago, but yeah. 3 more for Annie. Number 7. Three points again. Questions on 7? Taking notes. Oh, please look. So here's the long story of where this all comes from. So basically, I'm supposed to find the average of the traffic flow. It means I've got to add up a bunch of different values of the flow. So points for the whole room. There's no values. Everybody look at the board. Here's a big idea. We use it over and over again. Look up. Look. I've got to add up all the different values of the traffic flow. So I'm finding the traffic flow at different times. Look how I'm doing it right here. I'm finding the traffic flow at minute 10, and then at minute 10.01, then at minute 10.02. There are other values of the traffic flow in between that I'm not counting, because I'm just trying to get a certain number of samples to get an average. Hands up, who can correctly tell me the final value? Come on, hands, everybody. What's the final value I'm going to find for the traffic flow if I use this pattern? Hands up. If I use this pattern, what's the very last value of traffic flow that I will be calculating? This is the next practice test, by the way. Hands up, who knows? Come on. More people than that know. Let's go. Eli's in the middle of Jan. We'll go to Luke.
I would say 14.99.
So Luke says the very last one is going to be the flow at time 14.99. Please raise your hand if you agree with Luke. 3 points, 4 for Luke. Because what happens is this flow right here is the flow I'm using for this time period. Then this flow is the flow I'm using for this time period. So f of 14.99, that's the traffic flow I'm using for the final 100th of a minute. So now I've got all my flows added up. How many flows did I add up? Everybody, come on. Losing you today. Don't talk. Drives me crazy. Don't talk when I talk. How many flows did I add up? More people than that know. Come on. There we go. Keep counting, man. Bust out the fingers and toes. Use your calculator, whatever. How many, Kenshin?
500.
Kenshin says 500. Who's voting with Kenshin? Keep your hands up. 2 points, 3 for Kenshin. So Lewis, if I add up 500 different values of the traffic flow and I want the average, I must divide that total by 500. Okay? Here's how I get 500. I use an integral. The integral will calculate all the different values of the traffic flow, and the integral will also add up all those values. Please notice I did not put a dt with that integral.
Wouldn't it be 5,000? Because you have to get 10.01, 100, 0.1, versus 11, and going all the way to 14.
Here's how I do it. Maybe it's,
okay.
you
I
see
see
it now?
Yeah.
You're good.
My mistake.
3 more, no worries. I was kind of not sure myself. Look, no dt. That black is going to take the place of the green. So this does exactly what you see here. This black does exactly what you see in the green. But we still have to divide by 500. So here's how we do it. How many minutes, Lewis, from 10 to 15? dt means how far apart are my samples in time. The difference in time between samples. So what's dt for this problem, Lewis?
For this one,
0.01. Whole class, raise your hand and tell me, what is 5 divided by 0.01? Hands up. More people. What is 5 divided by 0.01? So Michael? 500. How many knew? 0.3 for Michael. So Lewis, I added up all the different traffic flows. I divided by how many I added up. Now that doesn't look like this, because they said, let's don't divide, let's multiply by the reciprocal. So they multiply by the reciprocal, and you end up with this equation. And then they pull out the 5. Did that answer your question, Lewis?
Yeah.
That's where the 5 comes from. Please.
Did we just know to go from time 10 to 15 instead of 0 to 30 because 0 to 30 is the overall time and then 10 to 15 is the question?
Just because they asked. Yeah, they said find the average for that time period. Good question. That's a good one to bring up, Ellie. 3 points. They like to do that to you. You guys pay attention. Next one, number 8. Yeah, talk all you want when I'm not talking. I just hate when you talk when I talk. It drives me crazy. Wants me to break out the something. Okay. Questions? 2 points for this one. 1 point if you have the green box, 1 point if you have the correct answer. Again, as I said earlier, if you do not have these blue parentheses, you do not get the green points. Even if your answer is correct, you still get 1 out of 2. Please, Eli.
Would you lose points if you had two separate integrals that were subtracted?
Integrals are just like derivatives. The integral of two things subtracted is perfectly equivalent to two separate integrals subtracted, so no, you're fine. 3 points.
Okay, I was just kind of confused because I get how like sometimes you're going to need to subtract them, but don't you need to add it for this one because it's 2 lines?
Gotcha. It kind of seems like you should. Let me show you why you don't. You with me? Okay. Look at the orange one here. That x-coordinate seems to be about 0.5. The y-coordinate looks to be about 0.4. Here at the bottom, the x-coordinate is still 0.5. The y-coordinate looks to be about -1. Raise your hand, everyone. How tall is the orange rectangle? Hands up. What is the height of the orange rectangle? More hands, come on. I'll wait for everybody on this one. Every last one of you can do this. What is the length of the orange rectangle? What is the length? That's good, pretty much everybody. Let's go, Luke.
1.4.
Who votes 1.4? 2 points, 3 for Luke. So now back to Annie's question. I could find that by taking 0.4 plus the absolute value of -1. But it's quicker to just say 0.4 subtract the -1. And it works. And it always works.
So there's never, when you're finding an area, there's never going to be a time when you're going to add.
I will add if I've got different formulas I need to use. But if I can find one formula that will calculate the length of all the rectangles, it's going to be subtract for this reason. A vertical length is always found by taking y at the top minus y at the bottom. So I always subtract. Please.
Oh.
Anybody else? Okay, number 9. One point is all. You either have the green or you don't. So if you don't have the explanation as shown in the green, you will not get the point. Any questions on 9? A couple of people still taking notes. We'll wait just another few moments. I don't know. So that would be a loss. Check the rest of it.
Those ones are easy though.
Otherwise, it doesn't. The reason I didn't choose that one is because we will soon be doing a problem like this without a calculator. And absolute value without a calculator is hard. So I just try to get you in the habit of like, okay, we just want to use absolute value.
I just want my calculator for that. I just put that in as y1, that in as y2, did it. Spat me out, remember? I was like, okay, next problem. No, this package is This is good. 2 of 5. 3 of 8. 6 of 11. I guess I'm gonna like 14. Shit. 2 of 3. 2 of 5. 3 of 8. 6 of 11. 7 of 14.
Alright, everyone.
10 of
Quiet.
17.
Quiet.
One variable for myself.
It's a pass.
4 points on 10. Questions? 1 point for green, 2 points for red, maroon, I guess. 1 point for blue. Please.
Do you have to say like what the time is once the previous number was repeated?
No, that was extra. I didn't need to do that. Thank you. 3 points. We need more time. Just worry about this. You're good. Please, Jason.
So when it says A of t equals number of mosquitoes and A prime of t equals to r, if we wrote that on the question above, does that count for this question also?
Yes, you don't have to rewrite them. 3 points for Jason. When I read up the answer, I kind of thought it's better to like include all of it, but you are correct. You don't have to write it again. It's kind of what I was saying to Annie earlier. You just don't ever want to use a symbol if you don't tell them where it came from. So, any more time? No one's waving at me. Next one. 11. 3 points. 2 points if you have the integral and the appropriate Riemann sum numbers. 1 point if you have the right explanation. They're very strict. If you do not use the word miles, you didn't get the green point. If you didn't use the word minutes, no green point. Please.
So you don't need to have the units for the red box?
Thank you. The red box said nothing about needing the units for sure, so I didn't have to. I do agree with you, though. It's always better to include them. So that would have been miles per minute. No, wait a minute. This is displacements. That would have been miles. But they didn't give any points, so you're okay on that. 3 points. Please, Brooklyn.
Did you have lost points if you put just an equal sign?
They will forgive that. 3 points for asking. Please, follow.
For the green one, if instead of saying it calculates the displacement, could you say it represents the total number?
Read your answer to me.
The inverted represents the total number of miles flown by the plane from 0 to 40.
They will give you the green point for that one. You just want to be a little careful. If any of these values had been negative, meaning the plane changed direction, then your answer would have been wrong. Because this integral will calculate displacement, not distance traveled.
Yeah, also because it said positive velocity at the top.
Yeah, because you are correct. Because the velocity is always positive, then this is calculating two things. It's calculating change of position. It's also calculating total distance. So yeah, your answer would be correct for this one. Just be a little careful with that. Does that help? 3 more. Anybody need more time on this one? No one's waving. Okay, next one. 12. That's 3 points total. Oh, hey. I will possibly have an extra credit grading activity. I call it a grading party. It's not really a party, but whatever. Extra credit activity where you come and grade the test. You won't know who you're grading because I don't have people put their names on the test, just their student number. When you grade a test, we want to do an AP style. They don't say like -1, -2. They always just say out of how many. So if you were grading this problem, you would want to score it like this. 3 out of 3, 1 out of 3, 2 out of 3, or 0 out of 3. So don't do the plus or minus stuff, just like that. Question? Okay, cool. Number 12. 1 point is all. If you do not have the units, you lost the points. If you do not have the units, you did not get the point. So I'm going to fix that right now. So 1 point, you must have the correct units and the correct numbers. And you must tell them what you're finding. Now, if you leave out that part, they'd probably forgive you, but, so here we go.
Did it backwards, but not right. Oh, no, I didn't. You can't have it. Oh, I'm cracked. We turn it around. It's some generosity in this paper. We're not 600 degrees.
Question?
Actually,
I need more time on 12.
You must have really turned it around. The graphical like this.
And there's the final one, 13, 3 more points. This one has a, come back. Please, go.
It doesn't matter which order you select.
It does not, as long as you're consistent.
Top left, next one.
Right, so if you went 62 minus 55 over 6 minus 8, you're fine. 3 more for us. This one has a typo. I need to fix the typo. This should all be multiplied by 1/8. So this must all be multiplied by 1/8. Again, if you forget the Celsius, you only get 1 point on the green, not 2. So
Why is it not like?
you already.
Oh, so I definitely have it wrong. Some of these they want to. Oh wait, but I divided it by 4. Yes, 50. I divided it by 4 out.
Any questions on 13? We need more time here to sway that meeting. Okay?
So.
Please.
It would technically work to just do 1/16 of all of that, right? And then
Correct.
add the one.
That would be fine. Points for Lewis for asking. Please.
Will you lose points if you don't put in like the parentheses times 1?
No, you could leave the parentheses off. Just looked a little weird to me, so I didn't. Yeah, you're okay. 3 points for CJ.
And I needed to use
Your sister was in our ward the other day, and she's like,
Oh.
she comes up to me, she goes, "Is CJ a good student?"
Really?
I said, "Yes, you are a good student." I said, "No, he's very attentive. He asks really good questions."
So this
I said, "All positive." So she was very honest.
Good thing she asked before this.
Just don't talk when I'm talking. You're doing great. Okay. No, really, that's very sincere.
So, why am I having a hard time?
Still gotta talk to crazy Uncle Dave, but
Yeah,
That's like
crazy.
It's vid though.
That's
You got the
Vid.
wrong half of it.
That's right, crazy Uncle Vid.
Yeah, exactly. See what he thinks of that.
He seems the least crazy
So
thing
he
I've
is.
ever met.
Just
Let me tell you what it is.
I'm just trying out with the TFA.
Any questions here? Now your little story's on the video, CJ, but whatever. So.
Why is
Okay.
half of all of those things?